Elizabeth Schächter, and why I'm being interviewed is because of my connection with Gustav Mahler. My parents came from Austria. They were born in Vienna, and they fled to this country as Jewish refugees in 1938, so that's why I was born here. Their names are Edith Mahler and Hans Schächter. Edith Mahler suggests that there is a connection with Gustav Mahler's family. So my mother's father, my grandfather, Emil Mahler, was a first cousin of Gustav, which means that Gustav and Emil, their fathers were brothers. And in the 1860s, Gustav was born in 1860, these two brothers, Bernhard, Gustav's father, David, my great-grandfather, they set up a business together in the small town of Iglau, which was then in Bohemia, which was part of Austria, which is now in the Czech Republic and is called Jihlava. And apparently, so I've been told, these two families lived together, and when Gustav Mahler was 4, his maternal grandparents gave him an old piano. And my great-grandmother, Franziska, David's wife, gave Gustav his first piano lessons. And it was, so again I've been told, it was David, my great-grandfather, who persuaded Bernhard, Gustav's father, to allow Gustav to study music. So that is one of the connections, but there are actually two others, and they are that my father was a brilliant pianist, and in the 1940s he gave several concerts in London with the renowned violinist Arnold Rosé, who until 1938 was leader of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. He was Gustav Mahler's brother-in-law because he married one of Gustav's sisters, Justine, who sadly died in 1938, and then her husband Arnold fled to England. And then there is a third connection, that when my mother was in Vienna, she, through a newspaper article that she read, she came into contact, she managed to communicate with the Czech branch of the Mahler family. So in 1992, my mother, my sister and I went to Prague. We met this family, 3 generations of this family, and in 1992, we made a little pilgrimage to Iglau, where there was a little Mahler museum. And the founder and director of this museum, Dr. Ricetsky, said when we all gathered there, the Czech branch and the Viennese branch, he said he'd never had so many Mahler descendants all together in his museum. Music was an integral part of my life and of our family life. And of course, Mahler's music featured very heavily whenever, since leaving the family and so on. Every time there's a concert with Mahler's music, I try and get there. So I was absolutely delighted to discover that the Leamington Symphonia is playing Mahler's second symphony here on my doorstep, as it were, and that also a couple of years ago you did Mahler's fourth, didn't you? So it's wonderful to have Mahler here. Mahler said of his music, it is a lived music. So I think he wants us to respond emotionally. Within his symphonies, there's so many contrasting elements that somehow he fuses into an artistic unity. So, I mean, there are very dramatic movements, there are popular songs, there are little bits of military bands, there are wind instruments, the solo instruments that create the sense of nature, and then there are the lyrical, elegiac, slow movements. And all these different styles, it seems to me, they express Mahler's worldview of humanity. All the great themes of humanity: joy, loss, love, sorrow, redemption. And then you asked me why I like the second symphony. So, I mean, it's entitled Resurrection, and all of these aspects of his music that I've just mentioned, they seem to come together in a dynamic fusion of poetry, drama, and music. So it's such an emotional, deeply majestic and colossal work that it's no wonder that almost every time I hear it, I have tears in my eyes at the end. Leamington Symphonia are giving a concert, are giving a performance of Mahler's Second Symphony at the All Saints Church in Leamington on Saturday, the 24th of June at 7:30. And I urge you all to come and experience this emotional response to his music.